So hey everybody, how are you doing tonight? This is Coach Margene. I'm here with our monthly group Coach A Thon, hanging out with you guys, checking in with you to see how everything's going. And I have a special little presentation I want to do for you tonight. But before we get started, let's just kind of maybe piggyback on our last meeting we had in September where we were working on our I help or I support statements and see if anyone wants to volunteer on just giving us an update on where they're at, how they're feeling about it, and maybe an aha moment that they've discovered trying to do the process. If we have any volunteers, feel free to just raise your hand or wave or whatever. But I know that I tried to put some content in the Facebook group if anybody had a chance to get back in there and check it out. Did a couple videos, and then I did some sample I help statements, and I did some content on where you can use that content, and just curious about if anybody saw it and where are you using your I help statements and how are you feeling about it? Anybody? Oh,
Well, I already had my I
mm-hmm.
help statement
Yep.
done.
Yeah.
Um, Although I am really considering tweaking it some more um, as far as who I serve.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, and like what I was saying on the last session, if it's okay, um, you can have your I help statement, but as you're maybe creating content targeting a specific part of your audience, because many of us have an I help statement. We help somebody with this, this, and this, but there's bite-sized pieces also that we do, as we're working with people. And so you can do one that's just, just a little bit of a tip of what you do overall and get an opportunity to get in front of maybe some new people or get a little bit more clarity to your audience as to who you serve and how you serve them. So your I help statement does not have to be in concrete. And as you grow, your I help statement's going to grow because as you grow, your audience is going to grow as well. And the more you help people, the more aha moments we get on, oh, I can help them with this as well. And I have a client that needed this, and I didn't even realize that what I do helps them. And you can get clarity as well. So don't feel like whatever your I help statement is, that it has to stay that way forever. Be open, be flexible as you're working your business because we are all changing every day as entrepreneurs. You're not the same entrepreneur you were last year or the year ago or the year that you started doing what you got into business. You may not even be doing the things that you were doing when you first got into business. So just be open-minded about that. So Amy, did you have anything you wanted to share, any suggestions or any aha moments that you'd like to share with us? And that's fine if you don't.
A little bit. Got a couple of kind of more recently as I've been doing some more work with the people and the horses and kind of some aha moments and
Good.
perhaps a mild change of direction or like what I'll put more in the forefront type thing. So with some of the work in the reels and the work that we've been doing,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it just kind of brings a little bit of what I used to do kind of back to the front, and I think I can narrow um, kind of my passion down better that way. And so now it's just a matter of getting I don't know if I had a better word than, I don't want to call it curriculum, but that's about the only thing I can think of at this time. But
Okay.
guidebook type stuff jotted down so I can get things in a line. That one excites me a lot more, and just keeping my horses and my animals and my people and my health all intertwined. So it's
Okay.
been a pretty good couple of weeks.
That's good. Glad you're getting more and more clarity. That's awesome. And
Yeah.
like I say, we have to just keep working it, just keep doing it and keep thinking about it and keep reflecting on it and getting in connection with how we feel about it. How do we think our audience feels about it as we work through our I help statements so that we can actually feel the way that our prospect or client might feel when they work with us, when they stand in front of us. And that helps as well. Don't give up. So, Marcy, how are you tonight, girl?
I am good.
Good to see ya. So we were just talking a little bit about following up on last month where I recommended that people start working on their I help statement if they haven't already, and I know you have yours. So we were just kind of following up with have we been reflecting on it, working a little bit more on it, understanding that our I help statement is not necessarily in concrete, that it's an ever living thing and it will be progressing and getting fine tuned, and you can have multiple I help statements depending on the situation where you're using that I help statement. It's kind of like having that big headline where you blast out to the world, this is who you are, but then down here you've got this little line that says a little bit more, and down here you got this little line says a little bit more. So you can kind of think of it like that. So just asking if you wanted to share with us where you're at, or if you have had any clarity or aha moments or anything that you've discovered about your I help statement. If you wish to share with us, that would be great. If not, that's fine too.
Well, I haven't really discovered an aha moment about my I help statement in itself,
Okay.
but I have discovered one in the way I present
Okay.
what I present to help others.
Okay.
And I have changed some of the ways that I do that
Oh,
to
good.
reflect a better way to help the people that I mentioned in my statement.
Good. That's great. That's awesome. Good to hear that. So happy for you. So we are in October, the first month of the last quarter of 2022. And I know I keep harping about goal setting, setting goals, and sticking to the idea that we have a goal. What is it? Have we made it something that we can achieve? Or do we have this goal that we've got in our mind for 10 years from now and the baby steps of how to get there? Where are we at with our goal setting? Or are we just like throwing something out there, throwing it at the wall, hope it sticks, and that we reach it? So tonight, I'm just kind of going to go through a little bit. I've got a little presentation for you about our mindset and feelings and how it can affect the choices that we make on our goal setting. It could be even affecting us on if we're not reaching our goals, or if we're deciding not to set goals, or if we just have a goal in our mind and we haven't even written it on paper. We all have ways that we do things, and the way that I do things may not be the way that you do things. So I'm just going to go through this real quick with you guys, and I'm sharing my screen here. So if you want to let me know when you can see my screen, it would be wonderful. It says you guys should be able to see it now. It says closing out 2022. Thumbs up from Amy. So I will give that an idea that you guys can see it. And I will go over here and I'm going to just want to make sure this recording records properly. So this should be good. Okay, so closing out 2022. Setting goals using introspection, self reflection, and insight. Just for curiosity's sake, do any of you know what introspection is, or have you ever heard of it before? Have you ever heard anyone use that term before? Anybody? No? Go ahead, Sharon.
Yeah, I actually did a a challenge once where I used introspection, and it's kind of like self-reflection when you're looking in. So, and you're doing it for a purpose to gain more insight as to what's going on, to actually see what you're feeling, what you're thinking, and how you got to that process.
Okay, so you can see how that can relate when we're working on setting goals and achieving goals, right?
Yeah, you've got to know where you are in order to move forward.
Exactly. Exactly. So, mindset of our feelings and truth about success or lack of success in setting and reaching goals is the observation of our mental and emotional process, which affects our lives and our businesses. So, we're going to talk about introspection tonight. And introspection has to do with self awareness. So, what are the benefits of self awareness? Life changes that last. We want to be aware of what we're doing in our life to create life changes that will last, positive life changes. And we want to look at actionable insights that will change our life. Again, so when we're thinking about goal setting, what actionable tasks can I be doing to reach the goal that I want, whether it be an income increase, an audience increase, um, or just making sure that we are getting our housework done in a, so we're not living in a place of clutter, or we're not overwhelmed by our day with things that we didn't get done on our day off from work, where I know a lot of us that work a job as well as a business. We're busy. And sometimes the laundry's not getting done like we would like it to. The dishes aren't getting done like we'd like it to. So it's just being aware of those insights of the steps that we can take to change our lives for the better, and taking the right actions to achieve our future goals. Again, where we're looking at a business and making sure that if the reason we're in business is to add some income into our life, do we have an idea of the amount of income we'd like to be increasing it per month? Or are we just deciding our budget says we want to take a vacation in September of next year, and we want to have this much money so we can take that vacation. And I have a whole year to earn that kind of money. That's okay too. And then understanding our personality, understanding ourselves, understanding our values, our relationships, as well as our beliefs in what we are doing. So there's three elements of self-awareness. One is introspection, the other is self-reflection, and the third one is insight. So what is introspection? It is the process of attempting to directly access one's own internal psychological processes, judgments, perceptions, or state. Introspection is the observation of mental and emotional processes that affect our success. It is practiced by mindfulness in journaling, meditation, and self monitoring. And again, we hear those words again, journaling. Are we journaling? Are we meditating? What about self monitoring? I know a lot of us have the idea that I need to be held accountable. Am I holding myself accountable? How am I monitoring my accountability with myself? Am I depending on someone else to hold me accountable? Therefore, if I don't get it done, it's not my fault. Whoever was holding me accountable didn't remind me. So we want to make sure that we're being very careful to be mindful of our actions and the way we feel about our action steps that we may or may not be choosing to do. So, self reflection involves the examination, contemplation, and analysis of our thoughts, feelings, and our actions. Processing what is learned, making sure that if we learn something that can help in our business, are we implementing it? Or are we just learning and not implementing? Because many, many times, if we don't implement what we learn, we don't keep it. We forget it. We could take a class in something and not use it, and then a year or so down the road go, oh, yeah, I remember when I took that class. I don't remember what I ever did with that. I don't think I ever used it. So we want to make sure that we're being mindful of the idea of learning and using what we learned. We want to do the things that helps us to stay on track, keeps us moving forward so we don't stagnate. More importantly, so we don't move backwards. And how do we practice it? By practicing mindfulness in journaling, meditation, and self monitoring, it also helps us to become equipped to get through the emotional thoughts that go right along with self reflection. So, ways to perform this would be sitting alone and reflecting on our thoughts and our feelings, discussing with others if possible. It could be a coach, it could be a good friend, or a professional counselor. Whatever we need to do, we should be doing it for ourselves. And there are 4 steps. Going deeper when we're reflecting, when we're meditating. Self awareness means understanding your personality. You also have to understand your values, your relationships, and your beliefs. Self awareness includes understanding how you process your experiences. Do you like to reflect on what happens each day, or do you avoid thinking about your feelings? Ooh, that one kind of hurts sometimes, doesn't it, guys? Sometimes we don't want to connect to our feelings, not because the feeling might be bad, but because we have a fear of we don't know how we feel about certain things. But gaining greater self awareness is a long term process. It's not an overnight achievement. You do it over time by creating a routine of self reflection and introspection. It's something you will do for the rest of your life. So, the do's and the don'ts of introspection, self reflection, and self awareness. Thinking about self all the time will not lead to a deeper knowledge of yourself. Spending too much time in introspection can lead to more anxiety, less positive social experience, and more negative attitudes about ourself. But the goal of self awareness is actionable insight that you can use to change your life for the better. But how do you access those insights? Again, through the 3 elements: introspection, self reflection, analysis, and insight. So, introspection gives you access to understanding yourself. Self reflection lets you process what you learn, and insights are the answer that you come up with that you can act upon. In addition to leading to insights for what to do, self-awareness also makes it more likely you'll do as you say. Self-awareness increases your ability to exercise control over your emotions by reducing stress and anxiety and providing a greater sense of well-being. And through self-awareness, you become less likely to veer off track when difficult emotions surface. Instead of doing something you later regret, you'll be better equipped to ride out emotional troughs. So, what are the right questions? Why questions cause your brain to point to the obvious answer, which often is negative. It confirms the results. Answers are based on feelings, causing an illusory correlation relative to each other. So, you just think about yourself all the time? Well, no, that's not the answer. That won't automatically lead to deeper knowledge. In fact, if you aren't careful about how you reflect on your life, you might end up unhappier than when you began. Studies show people who spend more time in introspection tend to have more anxiety, less positive social experiences, more negative attitudes about themselves. Why is that? What do you think? What are they doing wrong? Well, when we engage in introspection, we too often start by asking why, the why questions. It might be as simple as, why do I feel this way? And we search for the reason underlying our discontent. On the surface, it makes sense, but it can lead to misery. That's because when we ask why, our brain points toward the most obvious answer. We usually land on the one that confirms our pre existing beliefs. That's because most of our motives are beyond our conscious awareness. It takes more than ruminating to bring root causes to the surface. We tend to turn to answers that feel true in the moment. Unfortunately, these easy answers are frequently dead wrong. What questions such as, what I am, what am I, what am I feeling, rather than why? You can name your emotions, which has been shown to reduce negative feelings and attitudes when you ask the what questions. For example, let's say you lost your temper at a coworker, and you might be thinking, I just can't work with her. She really rubs me the wrong way. When the real reason might be that you snapped at her because you were anxious about an upcoming performance review, or you had something else on your mind and the person caught you at the wrong moment. And it may have nothing to do with that person, the feelings that you're having. That's why asking why questions is the wrong kind of self reflection. It can lead you to see relationships between two things that do not exist, or to overestimate the degree to which two things are related to each other. This is a cognitive bias called illusory correlation. So here's another example. Let's say you submit a proposal at work, and one of the members of the evaluation committee sat on the previous committee that judged one of your ideas, and he rejected it. All of a sudden, you're sure your current proposal will fail. Why? Because you believe that person had something to do with your recent defeat, even though you don't have any evidence to back it up. This kind of thinking only serves to damage your perception of fairness at work. So we must always remember perception may not be the real truth. Perception may be our thought truth. And we might need to make sure that we're understanding the difference between our true feelings and the perception of what we think we might be feeling. Why questions can cause you to obsess over your problems. They lead to greater anxiety and symptoms of depression. So, what do we want to focus on? We want to focus on solution focused questions. They reveal potential answers to the problems. We can sit and think about, what if since I did this, this is the result I got. How could I turn that around? What could I have done differently? What if I did this? Would I maybe get this result? and always be testing ourself. So instead of asking why questions, you need to ask questions that help you to focus on the solution or the goals. That's why you should try asking what questions. Ask questions like, what am I feeling right now? Rather than, why do I feel so terrible? Because sometimes when we sit in a situation that has made us feel uncomfortable and we internalize it in the, why do I feel so terrible? Then maybe we start into that negative thought pattern of, we're impossible, we're not worthy, we're no good, we aren't capable, which is not true because that kind of thinking can truly tear us apart. And it may start to help name some of those emotions that you have with the wrong idea of the results of that emotion. So, that kind of thinking can help you to name your emotions, which has been shown to reduce negative feelings and attitudes. And we don't want to do that. We want to try to lift ourselves up with a positive idea of how we could turn that situation around. Also, avoid asking yourself a problem centered question. Don't ask, what difficulty am I facing right now? Instead, frame the question around a goal, such as, what would I like my relationship with my boss to look like a month from now? What would I like my bank account to look like in a month from now? What would I like my team to be reaching for a goal for this quarter? How many team members, new team members, are we looking forward to bringing in to the company? Coaches and counselors are learning that solution focused questions make their clients feel good, whereas problem focused questions make their clients feel less satisfied. So, even when we're talking to a prospect, when we have a product that we know can help serve them, we always say, don't focus too long on the problem, focus on the solution. Focus on the, we can get you to this place. This product has moved me from this to this. And if you have a persistent problem on your mind, ask yourself questions that shift your focus to its possible solution. These should be as straightforward as, what is one possible solution in this problem? And then, what is one way I could start to move toward creating this solution? So we want to focus on questions that increase our confidence in our ability to solve future dilemmas. And using solution focused questions has two benefits. It reveals potential answers and problems, as well as increases our confidence in our ability to solve future dilemma. How can we do that? Sometimes self-help books offer a quick feeling. A self-help book may be good if you're in a group setting where you have other people reading that same book and you can have discussions about the things that that book is offering. And if we're putting into place the recommendations that that self book has already given us. So they could be going through a specific item in that book and it'll say, okay, so here's your assignment. Put this piece into action. And we just read through it, we don't take the action. Well, unfortunately, it's not going to help us to move through those feelings, get connected to them, and improve our mental well being as well as emotional well being. Self awareness requires finding time to answer personal problems by ourselves. We don't want to always have to depend on a coach or a counselor to help us get through those personal problems. We should be able to learn how to be sensitive to self, become aware of self, and recognize when there's a personal issue that we're working through that we have a solution. It may have been given to us, we just haven't practiced and used the tool that we were given to help us to break through that. A feeling of agency and control affects your feeling of confidence. It improves your self worth and it increases the odds that you will follow through on your intentions. So, again, in many ways, buying a self help book or looking for inspiration from a guru can give us that quick feeling that we're doing something about our problems. However, self awareness requires finding times to answer our problems for ourselves, by ourselves. But if we need guidance, that's okay. Guidance is good as well. And although there are numerous benefits to cultivating self awareness, the practice does take time. Thankfully, that time is free and it's available to us if we plan ahead. The clear and often sudden discernment of a solution to a problem, that's what insight is for, helping us to become clear, helping us to get clarity. The results of self reflection and introspection is insight, it's clarity. It helps us to get that aha moment. So, furthermore, on insights, there are 4 steps for insight. One, then the major note here is do not disturb. In other words, if you're going to spend some serious time trying to get clarity, connect with yourself and your emotions and your feelings, and decide how to move yourself forward wherever it is that you're struggling, you must not be disturbed. Put a sign on the door, do not disturb. Set a timer for 15 minutes and try to do this every day if possible. So schedule your reflection and reflect for 15 minutes on a daily basis. That's what I highly recommend. If you're working on your annual plan, you're getting your goal setting ready for 2023. Spend some time reflecting on that. And what I highly recommend when you do this reflection is you record the data of the prior year and go back to it and look at what you did, what you accomplished, what your intentions were, and pay attention to where you didn't reach that goal. And it's okay. Give yourself grace. Move forward. Don't reflect and focus on what didn't happen. Focus on what did happen. So if you're doing it on a daily basis, reflect on the first activity of the day. And I like to think of it as me getting my day started in the morning, where I get my cup of coffee, I do my Bible study, I sit down and I meditate for a few minutes, and then I look at, okay, what am I going to do today? Open my calendar, look at it, and see what I have listed on there, and then reflect on it. Connect with it. Is this really going to be something that's going to get the results that I really want for the day? And if it's not, I can change it, I can update it, or I can improve it. And then look at the day before and see what my results of the activities for the day before were. Did I not meet that goal? Did I not even get a chance to do that activity that I felt was important that day? Should I move it to today? Is it going to be a positive impact on today's activities? And then number 4, do this process for your goals as well, not just for your business activities. Do it for your personal life. Do it for any aspect of your life that you need to get yourself on track and in a pattern of reflection, so that we're not always constantly moving from day to day in confusion or concern or high anxiety, maybe because there's something going on in the back of our mind that we hadn't given attention to that needs attention so that we can move forward with sound peace of mind. So, I have a story that I want to tell. And this story is about a client. And it was during the client session that I advised Sue to sit down with her thoughts alone. And I told her to take out a sheet of paper and start writing down what she was feeling. I told her to do so without letting her mind wander into negativity and blame. I told her to first reflect on what she was feeling without judgment, or that she could understand what was really going on. After a few weeks, we reconnected, and Sue told me the introspection exercise revealed important truths she hadn't considered before. She actually loved her job, and she truly enjoyed working with her clients. She also loved doing little things that her family could depend on, like always making their breakfast and packing their lunches. However, there were also things that she disliked about her job, like having to endure the daily rubbernecking on the interstate highway. I know some of you probably have had those experiences. But when Sue started to reflect on what she was feeling, she began to realize that she could separate aspects of how she felt about her work, about how she was feeling. And she began to realize that she could separate that, how she felt about the work, and turn it around. So she came up with this. Hating the traffic didn't mean she wasn't cut out for the job. It just meant she needed to find a better solution. It didn't mean she hated her job. She just needed to get this issue turned over. So her insights came when she gave herself permission to reflect, let her mind wander, and come up with a creative new solution. So today, Sue drives to work. She still drives herself to work, where she leaves her car in the company parking lot. She then orders a ride hailing service from her phone to take her to her client meetings. While seated comfortably in the back of the car while someone else is doing the driving, she responds to the emails she previously answered late the night before. And this frees up her evening times to her children and her family, so she doesn't have to worry about scrambling to get all the things done when she's at home trying to spend time with her family. And she was even able to convince the company to pay for the car service, justifying it by her increased productivity during the day. So, had Soon gone fishing for answers to her problem outside of herself, she may have never discovered this unique solution. Only by getting into the routine of self reflection and making time in her day to think of herself can was she able to come up with the solutions that were just waiting to be discovered inside of her. So, if we have any questions about this or any thoughts or ideas concerning this thought of introspection and including it into your way of life, your end of the year organizations, and getting yourself set up for success for 2022 and laying out the plan of moving into 2023. Anyone have any thoughts? Any aha moments or any questions?
I like the story you told. That was nice.
Good. Thank you.
Mm.
So, can anyone think of a place where that might fit in their life? And you don't have to answer it to me, but just to yourself, with what you're having to work with keeping a job, working a business, or keeping care of a family, working your business, where you could maybe do some self reflection and some introspection concerning the way that you can maybe get yourself organized into maybe always having a more positive atmosphere that you're living in because you're important as well as your family. And many times we're busy trying to keep peace in the family, but yet we're not doing what we need to do to keep ourselves in a good mindset. Anybody? Oh, okay. Well, I thank you guys for being here tonight. I hope this was beneficial. I hope that you got some encouragement and closing out the end of the year and getting yourselves ready for 2023. Anybody excited about 2023 around the corner and closing out the year?
I
Yes. And I can incorporate this in with my planners
That's
in a
great.
demo
That's awesome.
because
That's
we
great.
have different inserts that could, like brain dumping inserts, that could definitely work for this kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome, Marcy. Yeah. So when you talk about your demonstrations that you do on how to use your planners, are you using that opportunity to discuss how they may be feeling when they're filling out that planner and getting their day organized or life organized?
There we go. Um, yes, sometimes I do talk
Good.
about that.
That's,
Yes.
yeah, just letting them know that it's important that they feel good about it and that they are connected to their emotions.
Right.
Good. That's great.
Yes.
That's awesome.
And
Glad
I
to hear
do
it.
stress the importance of writing it down
Mhm.
and making it genuine.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Journaling is very, very, very important. And I know a lot of times we just get too busy to just sit down and stop, make that commitment to ourselves. And we're not doing ourselves favors by not doing that. You know, we should be gracing ourselves with that pleasure um, because that's part of self care. And if we can't take good care of ourselves, we can't take good care of our families either.
Yes, it's very therapeutic for some.
Yeah. I think that if people would just stop and do it, they would discover it's very therapeutic for everyone that does it. That they can't even
Yes.
experience it if they don't try it. And yeah, sometimes, it gets to be a little struggle, with, "Oh, I don't have the time, and then we force ourselves to do it so it doesn't feel good. We have to give ourselves
Right.
permission to do those things that make us feel good, and we don't even know it's going to make us feel good unless we stop and do it. So that's,
Right. It helps to add it to your daily habits
yeah,
or make it like a weekly habit if you don't have the time daily.
yeah, yeah, for sure. That's great. Okay, guys. Well, that's all I have for tonight, unless somebody has anything they wanted to bring up. I can stop the recording.